Welcome back, viewer. Today we are talking about nurturing the emotional intelligence of our children. Before we went on a break, I had asked you, gentlemen, if we say that my heart is wrong and that I cannot follow my own heart in doing what I think is right, what makes you think, or someone who is ahead of you think, that what you tell me is right and yet you're telling me your heart? We're talking, I'm borrowing from what you said, Mr. Benjamin, about world of the heart. If my heart is wrong, what makes you think, or what makes me think that Silas's heart is right and I should follow what he's telling me, the guidance and the advice? What makes me think that Benjamin's heart is right? And also, what makes me think that my heart as Eunice is a right heart, that I should also pass the same to my child for them to be better people in the society? If I cannot trust my own heart, why should I trust someone else's heart? Mr. Silas.
Well, thank you so much. Getting from just what you said, you realize that this is coming, the words that were said by our maker, meaning that the one that created something understands it much better.
Sure.
Okay? And so for you to be able to understand yourself or to understand that particular thing, then you need to go back to the maker, to the one who created, to the manual. And one of the manuals that we have is the Bible that God has given unto us, okay? The Bible, because from there we're able to understand the mind of God concerning us, and we're able to understand who we are, okay? And how to be able to deal. You realize that in life, there are boundaries. And these are boundaries that will enable one to understand what is right and what is wrong. Understand that I should not be able to do this and not to be able to do that. And then I'm allowed to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things because I have boundaries that are guiding me. Like, for example, as a country, we have what we call the Constitution, where we have laws that govern us as Kenyans, okay, or any other country. Now, from the Bible, it's able to give us the boundaries and to give us the understanding. And that's why when he was talking even about self-control, he said that this is something that we need to learn. And the Bible says that if anyone lacks self-control, then he should ask for it. And where do you ask? From the source. And the source is God. So God will enable you to understand your heart and to understand the issues of the heart and how to be able to take care of your heart and how to be able to deal with. You have said now, if I am not able to trust myself, how will you be able now to trust somebody else? Okay? And yet you yourself, you cannot be able to trust. You realize as we grow up, he talked about desire. You're able to understand that this particular person, the way he or she is living is different from the way I'm living. There are things that he's doing that I think they are better. And that's why you realize it's us who choose someone to be a role model because you admire. That person never came and forced himself to you and say, Eunice, from today henceforth, I'm going to be a role model. If I do that, my dear, you can't. But it's you to look at and emulate and say, I want to be like Benjamin. Because when I look at Benjamin, the boundaries that Benjamin has set and the life that Benjamin is living, then I want to live such a life. So there's that aspect that he talked about, the desire. You have that desire and say, I want to emulate him. I want to be like him in matters of behavior, in matters of character, in matters of speech, and even the development about his life. So that keeps you now the aspect that you're able to trust such a person. Because you're able to see whatever he's telling you, you feel that you admire the life of this particular person. So that one becomes easier for you to be able to trust. But the challenge now comes in, whereby if now you have not first dealt with yourself to understand who am I, the aspect of self-awareness comes in. Are you aware of who you are? Are you aware of your life? Are you aware of your heart? And when he was talking about the issue of learning, I was asking myself, and even you and even Benjamin and the viewers, you can be able to remember those years, early 90s, 80s, when you were in the house and the visitors were there and you misbehaved. Your parent could not tell you anything, but there was an eye that she could give you.
And then
you realize whatever I'm doing is wrong. And you just change. Okay? And you realize these parents never told you that once I do this, it means this way. No. But from where you are seated as a child, when you saw that eye the blinking of that eye, you realize today things are not okay. Whatever I'm doing is wrong. I need to get out of this room, or I need to change my sitting position, or I should not take the extra slice that is in the plate. Okay? So that means that it is because there's the part that the parent played in raising you and made you to understand their do's and don'ts. Okay? But the generation that you are in, those things are not there.
True.
Okay? Just to come to what you were saying, you realize as a child, I cannot be able to be with you in the supermarket and come up with tantrums unless I know how you react when I do that. Okay? That means I also know you as a parent, you don't have also self-control. That I want this at home. I want this bread. When I cry, you will give me. Okay? So, of course, I have already, this particular child is very bright.
Yeah.
He has mastered the, the heart and the science of the mother and knows that if I do this, this is what mom will do. So he goes to the supermarket and he knows if I just fall down and cry, I'll get whatever I want.
Emotional blackmail
Yes.
coming to you. As you give us your mind on the same. Picking up from what he's just concluded by saying, the child is so smart and has learned my weakness as parents, knowing that if I roll down on the floor, then I'll get everything I want from my mom. I'll get everything I want from my dad. If I keep nagging my dad, then I'll get his phone. If I keep nagging my dad, then he's going to give me the money I want just to chase me away. Taking this from a young child of between 2-3 years, this is the time we say, ni mtoto achana na yeye. You give the child everything, because this is the time they raise more of the tantrums. And when they grow up, their age of 10, 12, they bring the same tantrums. You beat them up so badly that they end up hating you and thinking that mom and dad don't love me, they don't want to give me what I want, and yet they're using the same tactics they used to do when growing up. At what age should we start now correcting? Because there's this Kiswahili word where it says, samaki mkunja angali mdogo. So if you want this also, I can't remember the other one. It's once I remember, I'll share it. But if you want to grow a child in your ways that they are not going to depart from, then at what age should we start instilling this, should I say virtues or correction or discipline? Discipline is the word. At what age should I start installing this discipline? Where I say, from this age, this is discipline and I'm installing to this child, and I don't have to say ni mtoto. And when amekuwa mkubwa is now when I want to install the discipline that I did not do at a younger age.
Let's talk about our origin. You know, for me, I don't, because when we talk about the Bible, maybe some people will talk about, you know, that's a religious thing. Or rather, that show is talking about Christians. For me, I'm not talking about Christians. I'm talking about we as human beings. You know, I always think about this thing as this. It's like a pyramid. And then on top, there is the creator. For people, according to what they understand things, they created ways, their own ways. Whether I'm a Christian, whether I'm a Muslim, whether I'm what, our main goal is meeting with the Almighty. And then, when I talked about the heart being deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, there is a question that it asks. Who can know it? And then there is an answer. I, the Lord, search the heart, and I give every man according to the fruit of his doings. You know, the same maker, he's speaking and then he says another thing. For my people, we are all people of God. Whether you are from which religion or what religion, we all belong to God. And then the Bible says, for my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters. And then they have healed themselves cisterns and broken cisterns that cannot hold water. Which means, when, number one, we forsook him and he is the maker. For example, my friend Silas spoke about manual. If you buy a TV, they don't just give you a TV, they come with a manual. Isn't it?
Yes.
If you cannot operate it, you have to use the manual, isn't it? So God created our hearts and then he gave us the manual called the Bible. It doesn't matter whether people understand or they don't understand, but that is the manual of operating the heart of man. So we forsook him. And then from there, we got into work. Where there is work, there is being tired. Where there is work, there is payment. Where there is work, there are rules and regulations. And that's why now people, because they do not understand the word of their heart, now they follow the rules and regulations and what, so many other things. They're getting tired. Even the child is getting tired. But there is something that I want to correct from the minds of people when we talk about, they call it punishment, but me, I'm not calling it punishment. Punishment is for like robbers, murderers. That is punishment. Now we are talking about correction. And then God says the people that he loves, he corrects them. So if I correct my child, does it mean that I hate them? It's out of love, isn't it? The reason why I'm correcting them, it's simply because I saw the path that they are taking will bring them to destruction.
Where do we draw the line when you are saying you're correcting them out of love? Me as a child, as you're correcting me, in most of the cases, when we grow up, this is the time when you reflect back from how you're brought up. You say, were it not for my parents bringing me up in this and this way, I wouldn't be where I am today. This is the time we appreciate most. But at that time when I was being beaten, that time when I was being corrected, I did not appreciate this. Where do we draw and how do we help this child to understand that this that I'm punishing or this that I'm correcting you today, these strokes that I'm striking you today because you've done something wrong and I'm correcting you, it's out of love and not hate, so that by the end of the day, the child will appreciate the correction and not resent it. Where do we draw this line? I'd want you to answer this after the short break. Viewer, I hope you're learning as much as I am. Let's continue this conversation. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 2144. We'll be back shortly.